You have a proposal, if you were to become president of the United States, a Department of Peace.
Yes.
Have that right?
Could you?
What is it?
Yes.
What's it going to do?
Yes.
And I'll leave aside the how you're going to pay for it until after you answer.
Okay. So this is the deal. We have a $750 billion a year military budget. We have a $40 billion a year State Department budget. So State Department is mediation, development, and diplomacy. Within the State Department, we have a $17 billion budget for the USAID. That's long-term development and humanitarian assistance. In addition to that, within the $40 billion, we have less than $1 billion that goes to peace-building agencies. Then we have the separate independent United States Institute of Peace that's $138 million a year. Okay, now, you can't just take medicine. You also have to cultivate health. Because because sickness is the absence of health. Health isn't the absence of sickness. And similarly, war is the absence of peace. Peace is not the absence of war. You can't just keep preparing for war and hope, well, maybe one day we'll back up into peace. Even Donald Rumsfeld, Secretary of Defense under George Bush, said we must learn to wage peace. General Mattis, before he left the Defense Department, said if you're not going to fully fund the State Department, I will need to buy more ammunition. So what are the peace-building agencies? Because war, once again, is the absence of peace. So what are the peace-building agencies? There are 4 factors which, when present, statistically indicate that there will be a higher incidence of peace and a lower incidence of conflict. They won't shock anyone. Number 1, expanded economic opportunities for women. Number 2, expanded educational opportunities for children. Number 3, reduction of violence against women. And number 4, amelioration of unnecessary human suffering. We should see large groups of desperate people as a national security risk, because desperate people do desperate things. And desperate people, among other things, are more vulnerable to ideological capture by genuinely psychotic forces. Now, the people who actually wage peace with these proactive peace-building measures around the world have as much sophisticated skill and expertise and courage in applying those things in various places around the world, by the way, as does our military. But when you see how they are, you see the power that they are given. They don't really have seats at the power of table, which they will have in my administration. They don't have the kind of funding. They don't have anything near the kind of equal partnership that I believe we should see between the military, because I look at the military, I have great respect for the military. My father fought in World War II. I think the American people, I'm sure, agree with me. The military should have every dollar they say they need for our legitimate security needs. What we're talking about here, and I find it very interesting that only 2 presidential candidates are even discussing this. What I'm talking about is the hundreds of billions of dollars above and beyond what the military says that they need, that's spent on our military, that has less to do, in fact, almost nothing to do with our national security agenda, except insofar as it increases short-term profits for military contractors.